Mints?
Drink out in the hallway.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening. This is the city's business meeting, and you're welcome. We'll start off today with the mayor's report, or tonight with the mayor's report. First and foremost, I would like to take this opportunity to tell the citizens of Hermann how honored I have been to have served as your mayor for the last 2 terms. It has been my privilege to have had your confidence and support for those 4 years. I have worked hard, but it has been a labor of love, and I think you agree that we've made great strides forward together. Thank you again. As many know, my past experience has been mostly as a CEO of various companies, often in turnaround situations. My wife and I moved to Hermann about 6 years ago to retire and slow down, with absolutely no intention of running for city mayor. I am not and never have been a politician. I have been a successful professional manager, so when I was elected mayor, those are the skills I applied. As it turns out, being successful as a mayor is a lot like being a successful corporate manager. Everyone wants government to be run like a business anyway, don't they? Apparently, I'm not the first to see these similarities. If we look at our city code book, we see, quote, the mayor shall exercise a general supervision over all the officers and affairs of the city, and shall take care that the ordinances of the city and state laws relating to such city are complied with. Generally manage the city and make sure the rules are followed. That is pretty much what I've done for 30 years, and corporations paid me well because I was pretty good at it. In legal parlance, shall means must, so the mayor must be in contact and understand what each of the departments are doing. In professional management circles, this is called MBWA, or management by walking around. Let me say it again. Management by walking around. It sounds weird, but it's taught in the university classes, both undergraduate and graduate. It really works. Both the mayor and CEO require leadership skills and a healthy amount of vision and long-range planning as well. It is very important for a mayor to develop a vision for the city that extends well beyond the term that he or she is elected to fill. This vision should extend 5, 10, 15 years or more into the future. As an example, our new street tax provides that new streets be built for the next 18 years, and a vision should extend even beyond that. I'm sure both our mayoral candidates have developed their visions for Hermann, and I'm interested in learning about them. Another item of importance is the mayor's responsibility to maintain order. The new mayor is required by ordinance to ensure that the laws are being complied with. He or she is not the chief law enforcement officer, but should work with the city attorney, city administrator, police chief, city clerk, and city prosecutor to coordinate city efforts. Special interest groups. Hermann should follow the advice of none other than George Washington and avoid special interest groups. President Washington warned against the origin of what he called combinations and associations, whose intent was to suppress the desires of the majority in favor of the minority. He called them artificial power factions. We call them special interest groups. They are not illegal, but they oftentimes cause problems. They caused problems at the recent public hearings for the guest house ordinance by behaving in a loud and unruly manner while they tried to persuade the Board of Aldermen to abandon the original intent of the ordinance. Had they been successful, we would have continued the practice of allowing guest house businesses to be started in residential neighborhoods without the current homeowner's knowledge. Special interest groups are now involved in our city elections. Their purpose is to wield more power than their numbers would dictate. It's election time. Be an educated voter. Examine each individual candidate closely. Look at what he or she has done in the past and what he or she says they will do. Every candidate is making themselves available for questions. Take advantage of this and ask where they stand on issues that are of interest to you. Please go out and find the candidate you think will keep this progress moving forward. Above all else, vote on April 7th. It's your city, it's your election, and it's your vote. Make it count. Finally, I've tried my best to represent Hermann in a professional, business-like manner, to bring a fair and transparent style of government to all of the citizens, to make city government accessible to everyone who has a question or is interested in an issue, to move the city, its infrastructure, its economy, its safety, and its welfare ahead as far and as fast as I could. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. That's my report for tonight. City Administrator.
Yes, sir. I have here 3 individuals from Bartlett West that are here to talk about the DNR grant the city received for the study of our water system. We have Gary, Sarah, and Valerie. I'll let them take over.
So I brought our draft engineering report. You guys each have a copy. And so we're just going to go through the report. My name is Valerie Holland, and I'm with Bartlett and West. And I brought my engineers, Gary Davis and Sarah Kierkegaard, here with us. And I'm here this evening to present the drinking water engineering report. But before I actually go into the report, I'd like to just give you a little bit of background information on how we got to where we are now. So last year we met with Mark to talk about this grant application through DNR. It's called the DNR Drinking Water Engineering Report Services Grant Program Application. The City of Hermann was awarded the grant in the summer of 2019 in the amount of $20,000 with a $5,000 contribution from the City of Hermann. This covers the development of a drinking water engineering report that we have drafted today. The application includes Safe Drinking Water Act compliance priority point checklist. So we go through those, and we went through those with Mark, one by one, to review the City of Hermann system. So key items that we actually checked in the application include problems with the minimum working pressure, inadequate wells, water loss, distribution systems, storage and treatment, including backup well, water loss greater than 10%, distribution systems exceeding anticipated design life, which we've found quite a bit in the system, valves and flushing devices, and looping of water mains. We also checked the regionalization, interconnection, and security section, and the technical, managerial, financial capacity demonstration. So getting into the actual report, the primary purpose of this report was to develop short-term solutions. And this is over a 5-year period for improving the redundancy and reliability of your water system. This includes your supply, storage, and distribution. So it also includes feasible options for long-term projects as funding permits or needs change. So the report includes several sections. The first section is a system evaluation of your existing facilities, and that includes the supply, storage, and distribution. A hydraulic analysis, the project analysis and recommended improvements, and then identified short-term projects and the estimated costs, and the certified operator training. Section 2 goes deeper into the distribution system. Section 3 goes into your capacity improvements. Section 4 goes into your financial evaluation and rate impact analysis. And then finally, Section 5, we updated your standard water distribution specs and details. So in the hydraulic analysis, we looked at supply, which you have 4 wells. And according to the DNR recommended supply capacity, You need 345 gallons per minute in 2018 to 395 gallons per minute in 2038. So we projected that out for 20 years. And your current supply capacity is 860 gallons per minute with your largest well at a service. So the city of Hermann is doing a great job and has sufficient supply capacity. For storage, you have 3 water storage tanks. The total recommended storage capacity, according to DNR, is 292,700 gallons in 2018. And we projected that out based on your water produced and sold. And that goes to 334,800 gallons in 2038. So your current storage capacity is 560 gallons. So the city of Hermann is doing a great job and has sufficient storage for the future. Finally,
560,000 gallons?
yes, sorry,
That's all right.
560,000
Makes a difference.
gallons, yes. So you're doing great. For the distribution system, we looked at a number of different criteria to analyze the adequacy of your distribution system. We looked at historic water loss, the operator's evaluations, recommendations, and maintenance history, adequacy of the pipe diameters for average and peak demand conditions, the adequacy of pipe diameters for fire flow, and then we also looked at flushing and looping of the system. So the current distribution system is handling average and peak demands. However, upgrades will further increase or ensure capacity and functionality of the distribution system. There are portions of old pipe, particularly 4-inch cast iron pipe, there's quite a bit of that in the system, that are nearing the end of the useful life. And replacing those lines is a high priority, which we talked with Mark and his operators quite a bit. So again, with the distribution system, the city operators are doing a great job repairing and replacing damaged or leaking pipe once found with high quality pipe. So the next section we went into is the project analysis and recommended improvements. And this is based on addressing the priority checklist in the grant application. So we had to go line by line and address those with improvements. So in the report that we provided you, we tabbed the recommended projects map. And so that includes short-term projects, long-term projects. And so you'll see in the short-term projects, there's 11 projects, and we've highlighted each one of those. And then we highlight 2 long-term projects in there. Short-term projects are good for 5 years from this report, which are considered high-priority projects. This includes mostly water line upgrades, as you'll see. We also have a parallel transmission main from Industrial Park well. And finally, we have fencing around the storage tanks per the DNR inspection report. So as part of that grant application, we do review your latest DNR inspection report. And so that's why we address that. We also looked at long-term projects. These are recommended improvements beyond the 5-year planning period. So we did not include any cost estimates with these long-term projects. And these should be reevaluated at the time they are considered as funds permit and needs change. So it's recommended, after going through the short-term and long-term projects, we recommend having the city do a hydraulic water model before pursuing any long-term projects. And also short-term projects, I think you would benefit from a water model as well. And this will allow you to evaluate the various scenarios using average and peak demand through your distribution system. Simple water line extensions or replacements are sized with basic hydraulic equations, but with more complex systems, you really have to have that computer hydraulic model. So for long-term projects, there were 3 main projects that we identified. One was a new drinking water well, which I understand the city of Hermann already has a piece of property. And this will basically provide backup to your largest well, which is Industrial Park well. So as part of this grant application, one priority point check that we provided was you either need to provide a backup well or backup interconnection with another community water system. The city of Hermann doesn't have the option to connect to another community water system nearby. There's just none available. So this is why we proposed a backup well. So it's recommended that you size it based on the industrial park well. This is the preferred well, and they tend to run this most frequently. It's located in the southwest part of town, and it would be to your advantage to look at proposed locations through the use of a hydraulic model to see how it works with the distribution system. To make sure, you want to make sure that southwest corner of town is your best location. Next, we looked or recommended the SCADA updates to all your facilities. So my understanding is that you have one well and your storage tanks on SCADA. And after talking with Mark, I think he would desire to have all of the facilities on SCADA. So this is to your advantage, I think, because then you're able to rotate through your wells and fill your tanks and monitor each one of the systems. Right now, I think the operators are going around manually and turning on their well pumps depending on where you need water. So I think it's to your advantage if you could cycle through different well pumps instead of doing that manually, and track your numbers as well of how much you're pumping.
And that's a SCADA, you said?
SCADA, SCADA.
Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition.
We have it.
Thank you.
We've got
Okay.
The final long-term project that we looked at, and this one is really important, is a CTAL booster pump station. This is to address low pressure areas and low chlorine residual. So again, as part of your evaluation, we recommend developing a model and then further reevaluating this option, how you can fix your low pressure area and low chlorine residual. It may be as simple as the operational, which pumps you have turn on. But again, it's helpful to have that model to do an evaluation of what is going on during average and peak flow through your system. Next, we looked at the operation and maintenance projects. So as part of the map that we have tabbed in that report, we also show valves and flushing devices to aid in maintenance. So we just show where you could have additional valves, so you can isolate sections of your pipe so you can flush a line or repair it for maintenance. We also included all cast iron, or replacing all cast iron water lines as timing and funding allows. This is something Mark had really emphasized to us, that you guys have a lot of old water line reaching the end of its life. So we did include that as part of our operation and maintenance projects. And we do have a few example short-term projects that include costs for replacing 4-inch water main. So you can do a comparison, so you can get per block cost for replacing that 4-inch. Oh, and I didn't mention, you have 27 miles of 4-inch cast iron water main in your system.
Well, thank you very much.
And that's not including the short-term projects. So, just to give you an idea how much water line we're talking.
Well, that's historic water line.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah. The next thing that Mark had mentioned was hospital and CTAL wells. I guess hospital well at some point at high capacity or 100% running that well, they've noticed that air has been introduced into that well in that line. And then also for the other well, CTAL well, I think one occasion they've had sand introduction, and that's just one-time occasion. So we recommend for both of those wells, I think Flynn Drilling is your current maintenance provider, for them to look at that a little bit closer to see whether or not it's just a matter of maintenance that you need to have provided or not, because you're not able, that hospital well, it's not able to go 100%. So that's a big deal. CTAL, it's happened once where you've had sand pumped, but I think that definitely hospital well, we should be able to run it 100%. So we recommend talking with Flynn Drilling, and I think that they're already aware of those issues. We've talked with them about those two wells. And then finally, for the DNR inspection report that was done in 2017, there are a number of items you guys have already completed. So we've listed those in the report. There was a leak near the well sample tap at Industrial Park Well that's being repaired. Industrial Park Well corrosion has been removed and repainted. And then the erosion around the drainage inlet of the 250,000 gallon tank has been addressed. So there's a few more items. We did address, one of the short-term projects is the fencing around 2 tanks. So that's one item as part of the DNR inspection report. And I know Hermann is going to continue addressing, there's a few more items. So it's just as timing and funding allows, I know you guys are going to address those. Finally, so after the map, we have an opinion of
Next page.
probable costs for all short-term projects. So we tab the map, and then after the map is short-term projects 1 through 11. I think short-term project 1 was of highest priority when we talked with Mark, so we have that listed first. Those are listed in $20, $25, so they're basically good for 5 years, and that's the time frame that you would want to address any of the short-term projects. The next section in the report, we talk about system financial evaluation and rate impact. There are several options for project funding if you decide to address any of the short-term or long-term projects. One is through the USDA, which offers mid-range interest rate loans. Those can be coupled with grant funds if you're eligible. The next one is the DNR low interest rate loan and grant options through the state revolving loan program. The next one is investment bank loans, referred to as revenue bonds or lease purchase agreements. And finally, CDBG, which is Community Development Block Grant Program, which is a source of grant funds that are designated as supplemental funding. For the grant funds, typically we recommend doing an income survey to show that the MHI, median household income, is less than 75% of the state average to be considered disadvantaged. Currently, Hermann is not considered disadvantaged. So if you want to look at one location or a section of town that you're going to do an improvement, you would have to do a survey for that to be eligible or considered disadvantaged. So what do you do as far as this report goes? What do we do after this report? So we're going to talk about next steps. I mentioned this a couple times, but we really recommend developing a model. I think the last model that was developed was in 2006. So this would be helpful as far as targeting which short-term and long-term projects you actually want to do. And then you can determine how much those projects cost total. So you can basically figure out which ones are your highest priority. Typically, to proceed with funding, we would recommend a bond election in February or April 2021. So this kind of gives you a schedule of what we're looking at. But we're leaning toward the SRF loans just because Hermann is not considered disadvantaged. And these are low interest loans. We can submit now to DNR through an SRF application for loans. Although DNR will not start reviewing or will not review those applications until March of 2021. So SRF will notify, so once you submit, they start reviewing in March. It won't be until October 2021 that you'll be notified whether or not you're eligible for SRF loans. So then that takes us into design in 2022 and then construction in 2023. So this just kind of gives you an idea of the process if you were to decide to go for the short-term projects or long-term projects or a combination. And the other recommendations we have, in addition to the water system model, is a master plan. So as part of this PER, preliminary engineering report, I think Mark is very interested in doing an update to this report, and it's called a master plan. And it basically gets the city of Hermann onto their owner supervised program. And so it makes the process, it's good for 5 years, and it makes the process a little bit smoother between DNR and Hermann as far as getting smaller projects done in-house. So that's
a definite, yes.
Yeah, so that's our final recommendation. As far as the report, we are submitting this report, the final updated report, March 23rd to DNR. So if you guys have any questions or any sort of comments, you'll have 7 days from today to provide comments, and we can incorporate anything into our report and submit to DNR. So with that, if you have any questions on the report itself or what I presented, I'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
We got this like 2 minutes before the meeting
I
started.
know. So, okay, so by the way, if you have questions and you don't have questions now, please funnel them to Mark, and Mark will send any questions our way, and we'll be happy to answer those. So take
I'm
your
going to
time.
thank this team. They did a great job. I wasn't always available and wasn't always quick to respond, and they took it upon themselves to dig and look for information. They did a great job, and I am going to get this map that you see here, a wall size, and have it laminated. I'm trying to get them to hang it for me. I don't have to. So we'll have a list of our entire water system with our priorities that we can go through and as we do them.
Wall size would be helpful.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see there.
Okay.
Well, with that, thank you so much.
Thank you. We
Yeah.
appreciate this, and if the alderman will contact Mark with your questions, and if necessary, I'm sure we can send them on back to you, and
Absolutely.
you'll either answer them, and if we had to, for some reason, I'm sure we could get together in person. You could come back for a meeting. Okay, thank you very much.
I'm also going to get a quote from them on the master plan. I think that's the next step. That's the plan where it allows us to do water line replacement and then send in the as-built, more or less, when the water line's done. You don't have to wait for approval. Is that how it works?
Is that-
Right, so it would actually, the permitting's over, so you can just proceed within the next 5 years, you could just proceed with that without even telling DNR. So it saves, you don't have to generate the plans and specs, it's already been approved. Actually, then at that point, you don't need to tell them anything.
Okay. This is being televised.
You just update the map. That's fine. You'll just want to update, at the end of the 5 years, you just update the map.
Right.
And you send it the map and say we completed these projects, so.
And with our street project, getting ready to take off, that'll be handy to keep ahead of the street process with new water lines. Won't slow that process down, so that's why that's important. So when you get a chance to get back to your office, work up the master plan for us.
Absolutely.
Send us a quote and we'll look at that.
Okay,
Once again, thank you.
Thank
thank
you.
you.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Dave, you want to start on ordinance 2187?
Sure. The first bill for you to consider is bill number 2020-07. It would be an ordinance to establish emergency traffic routes.
Is there any discussion of this?
Well, these are the routes through Hermann when our highways are closed from flooding or for some other reason. I think Mark's done a really good job in talking to them, laying out these routes. We got signage from the state, or
No, those are our signs, and we needed this ordinance to be able to enforce those signs. There's no parking areas.
well, it's definitely needed. I move to approve. Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion's carried. I'll say one thing about it. Thank you. Do we need to do that twice?
You know, why don't we? That way, if we get caught with some torrential downpours and the streets get closed, we're ready to put the signs up.
Okay.
Thank you, Voice of Doom.
Yeah.
A reality.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion for this to be second read?
Don't they have to read it again?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bill number 2020-07 would be an ordinance to establish emergency traffic routes.
Make a motion, Bill 2020-07, second reading.
I'll second.
Brian, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just have a question on the notification for the people along the routes that says there's no parking along the routes during the emergency. And the only place I park in my house is on an emergency route, so I just want to know how they would be notified.
In other words, how will we tell them, don't do that?
Probably just door-to-door, door tag or something. When the water's up, it's gonna happen, and we'll have we're also looking at a emergency notification system right now, that if you submit your phone number or email or whatever, we can send you a text saying that it's gonna happen.
Okay, good. Okay, we have a motion, I believe, made and duly seconded. All in favor for second reading, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion's carried second time. The MRPC knows about this. We talked about this 6 months ago, I suppose, and they think this is great. They knew they put some work into it too, and the whole group is probably going to do some of these. Where appropriate, they're going to use our model. So that's very, very good. Okay, we have a resolution now calling on the City of Herman's residents and business owners to adopt the Celebrate Extraordinary Initiative to assist individuals with special needs and their families. And we have some people here tonight to tell us a little bit about this program. And would you come forward, please? Okay, well, then, you're,
I'm Jacqueline Sumter.
Jack, okay, well, we've talked, we haven't talked, we've been on.
We-
Come forward. How are you?
Senior Vice
Can you give us just a brief overview, and the camera's over here, so why don't you stand here?
Oh, there's a camera.
How we're on TV. How this works and the purpose of it and so forth.
So I have a little thing prepared, if it's all right if I read it. I'll go pretty quick. And this is on behalf of our founder, Chris Homick, who is home dealing with some illness things, so he couldn't make it, but so we're here. It's a great honor for the city of Herman to adopt All Abilities Athletics. We're here today not to seek a nice-looking resolution, but a real partner to help us spread education and awareness materials, help us build a community that not only accepts and appreciates individuals with special needs, but looks for ways to fully include them. All Abilities Athletics works to prepare our participants for these inclusion opportunities. This process does not happen overnight, but the joy we see in our participants' successes is well worth the effort. All Abilities Athletics held our first sports event in May of 2017. We spent 4+ months developing our plan, our funding, and our team to make sure we were set up for the long term. At our sports days, everyone plays, nobody sits out, we don't keep score, we celebrate all successes. These days are designed to build confidence through self-esteem in our athletes, and these days are equally rewarding for our junior high through adult volunteers. After working with our athletes, volunteers return to school or the workplace and share stories not only about the challenges our kids face, but also what they can do. In addition to our sports event days, All Abilities also has a swim program in our program, field trips, and our education to include in conclusion efforts known as Celebrate the Extraordinary with the following components. One, awareness days, which Herman School District as well as St. George have, whether you knew about it or not, they've actually been participating in for the last 2 years. And we would like to continue to grow those awareness days and grow the education that we can send out to kids in our own community and as well as let families in our community know that they are not by themselves going through these challenges. We have speaker series periodically throughout the year at Mercy Hospital in Washington. We cover a variety of topics like sleep disorders, food aversions, autism, meltdowns, things to do with Down syndrome. I mean, you name it, we're going to cover it. Which is also something that we can offer to families in the Herman community. Dine-out dates, restaurants give us a special opportunity where we can, as families, go out and have meals together without having to worry about upsetting or offending someone or you know, a major meltdown or anything that might happen. They give us a really big opportunity to have just a meal in peace with our kids. KLPW, the radio in Washington, has been doing a sponsored segment once a week that is focusing on an athlete and a little bit about them, and so that's been going on for about a year now. We're also focusing on our amazing volunteers because most of these people volunteering are junior high school age students who are either doing it because they really like working with special needs kids, or they're also trying to gain volunteer hours through their churches or whatever they need to get done. We're developing a reading program with the Scenic Regional Library. that gives our kids a chance to actually go into a library and, do things of that sort. We're getting ready to do the 4-in-1 inclusion run, which will celebrate all of our kids with autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and epilepsy. We're going to have partners from the Epilepsy Foundation of Missouri and Kansas there for that event. I'm almost done, I promise. I just wanted to get it all out, and I'm super nervous. Okay.
You're doing great.
We would like to work with the community theater in Hermann High School to offer an additional showing for kids with special needs in movies. AAA would cover the cost of admission for plays, musicals, concerts to give our kids access to things like a theater. Like the restaurants and giving our kids opportunity to attend in controlled settings, we teach etiquette and have some kids ready to attend lesser attended shows and over time any showing. We're looking to start an art program for special needs kids in Hermann. I'm in conversation with the elementary school right now about getting that program rolled out so that we don't actually have to drive to Washington all the time, because there's a lot of kiddos here that could benefit from it, and it'd be really cool to have something closer to home. See, I said the art program. And so on the horizon, All Abilities will be working to create small businesses that provide jobs for individuals with special needs, similar to coffee shops and things of the sort, where we can give our kids a chance to actually get out and be able to support themselves, because eventually they're going to become adults like the rest of us, and they need to have some kind of groundwork to be able to take care of themselves. And so, I'm closing it now, I promise. So we're seeking a real partnership with the City of Hermann to join us in this mission to call on every student, every community organization, the city government, and businesses community to also ask and consider how can we include special needs individuals in what we do. Hermann tonight joins the City of Washington, the City of Union, the City of New Haven, the City of Pacific, and the Franklin County Commissioners in adopting this resolution. This same resolution is going to be presented on March 18th to the Missouri State House of Representatives and is going to be passed. We'll have about 15 athletes and their families in that chamber to witness that event. And thank you for your consideration, and we really look forward to working with Hermann.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much. That was great. I want to say one thing. I don't know anything about this, and I tried to learn as fast as I could. I didn't know they were already here for a year. But this is not a Special Olympics 2.
No.
This is a situation where opportunities are available to special needs children on all kinds of things, arts and so forth. There's not a gold medal.
So Special Olympics is it is competition based, but Special Olympics, it is its own entity, and they kind of, they do have the medals and whatnot. But I would say imagine this were to be like T-ball or soccer, yaffle, any of those kinds of things that, special needs kids aren't going to really have a chance to, participate in. This gives our kids a chance to go out all year long, whether it's in a gymnasium or on a football field, and play sports that they never would otherwise have a chance to really do. That was the catalyst for all this, was making it revolve around sports. And as we've grown over the last 3 years, we've added in the swim and the art classes, music class, being able to do the dine out situations and whatnot. It's growing and evolving, and we both have kids that attend Hermann Elementary School in their special ed program, and after seeing, our Special Olympics Day every year at the high school, Hermann has a commanding presence at that particular event, and it just shows you how many people in our town could actually benefit from a program where you have year-round sports, and it's of no cost to families. Everything is taken care of. Your kids can just come and have a good time, and that's what we want to bring to Hermann.
That's wonderful. Thank you again, and we appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see what we can do here.
Okay.
We'll have a vote. Hope we pass.
Okay. All right.
I ain't voting against the board with a unicorn and art.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, we have a resolution. I've read it. Do we have a motion to pass this?
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Congratulations. Okay. Does anyone have any old business? Anybody up here have old business? Okay. I have some old business that came up at our Meet the Candidates night. And a couple of things were said that I thought needed to be corrected. I have never called the city attorney 10 times in a day. That's not true. And the idea that I've said this before, and I guess so I'll say it again. The city attorney is not some kind of luxury. We have to use the city attorney. When I started here, we had either 5 or 6 lawsuits going, and now we have none. And we have, I guess, the gas transmission thing is a lawsuit, so that would be, we expect that to end in our favor, and that'll be the end of that. But we don't have any lawsuits. We don't have anybody suing us or anything like that. So that's all over with. And it was the city attorney that did a lot of work on that, and also additional attorneys that were as necessary, that were experts in the fields that we needed to, and he had to work with our insurance company. So there's a real reason why we use an attorney. There's no alternative. We can't get somebody that's a legal paralegal. That's not the same thing. So the last thing is, and I know Bruce wants to change the order, and that's fine. You know, when I started, we had the citizens' comments at the very beginning, and it makes sense to be there. This is, though, the city's business meeting, and when it got to the point where the people making comments were disrupting and delaying the city's business, then we moved it. We don't have that problem anymore, it seems like, so I think that makes some sense. So anyway, that's the reason for that. Is there any new business?
I have some.
Okay.
Could our police department go back around to the different drinking establishments and remind them of open container and to remind their patrons about that? I saw 6 girls on Market Street had been downtown because of the cups they had. I knew where they had been. And one was so drunk she was dragging her purse across the street. So if they
Well,
could
I'm
just
sure they
remind
can.
them that they need to make sure.
Marlon, can we do that again? We do it periodically, don't we?
Yes.
Okay. Any other new business?
Well, a suggestion was made that now that we're on daylight savings time to stay there permanently. I did say I would bring that up in the meeting tonight, but honestly, on Channel 2 News tonight, right before I came here, it did say that a congressman was putting a bill like that forward. So I said I'd bring it up. I did.
It's been done before. It's been brought up before. So.
If they don't do it, can Herman do it?
Well, honestly, that suggestion was made too. I won't say what the slogan is. That's gonna be.
Turn back your clocks 1 hour.
Just turn them up and leave them there. Yeah.
All right, Dave, that you did your duty there.
Okay.
Any other new business? We don't have any citizen comments, I don't believe. There's nothing filled out. So, we have some motions. We have a motion pertaining to the minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion's carried. Invoices for payment. What should we do with the bills?
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
Thanks, Bruce.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to pay the bills. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Thank you very much. Bills are paid. Now we have conditional use permit renewals for unoccupied guest houses. Rick Axum, Wanda Perkins, Bull and Lion Inn, Timothy Cahill, Ron Deere, French Hill, Greg and Dawn Libbert, Helming House, Bart and Chris Tateman, Parkview Guest House, Donna Borgman, Greystone Guest House, Kevin Sanderland, Trolley 5, Steve Ballmer, DeFlorin Stone Cottage, Arminius Holdings LLC, DeFlorin Brick Cottage, and DeFlorin Bicentennial Inn. Tom and Kathy Durham, Black Oak Inn, Alex and Amanda Stimmy, Klinger Mansion, Jim Holland, Munwaller Inn. I have a question. Does Alex and Amanda Stimmy still own that? I heard it was sold.
No, it's not sold, they still own it. They have a different manager that's managing it, but, yeah, they still own it.
Okay,
And
thank you.
they're having guests and so forth. Actually has somebody staying on the property, I believe.
Okay, those are conditional use permit renewals. They were just permitted, I think inspected, so do I have a motion?
I have a question.
Okay.
2 of them have managers, and Mark was gonna check to make sure they both still had managers, but one of them still doesn't, so I'd like.
Bruce just mentioned the one, I think, and I don't know,
Or do we have a sign?
no, I don't know who that manager is for Alex and Amanda. I do know the same one that was for Libert is the same one right there.
I'm helming house phone number.
Okay.
Yes. What was I question about a manager?
No.
Okay, I did
not.
not, I did, okay,
No.
sounds good.
All I know is on Stimmy, and I don't know her name, is the wife of his chef at Concert Hall is managing it, but I don't know what her name is.
Can we approve all of them but that one and approve it as soon as we, or maybe approve all of them, but theirs will be contingent upon receipt of the name and address and contact information?
I would make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second? We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion's carried. Conditional use permit renewals for outdoor liquor consumption, Fernway Distilling Company, number 4 Schiller Street, and 10 Mill Restaurant, 315 East First Street.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Approved bid for auditing services. Trish, do you want to tell us what that is?
Sure. We're at the end of our 3-year auditing and contracted services, so we bid it out every 3 years. And I did send it out to 7 different auditing companies, and only 2 replied. One is our current auditors, the Hochschild Bloom and Company. Their bid was $38,850 for the next 3 years. The other company that replied was the Conquer and Head and Vic and Company for $55,270. So that is a difference of $16,420. Hochschild Bloom's bid is only $3,150 more than their previous 3-year bid. So I am recommending that we stay with them.
I move we approve this on Tricia's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion's carried. A vehicle for hire license, Lift You Up Rides, Debbie Van Osdale. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Motion is approved. Festival event application, Masonic Lodge, concession stand, caboose area, October 3, 4, 10, 11, 17, 18, 24, and 25.
Motion we approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Approved. Ray, we're gonna have a closed session here, but I can send some information to you. Do you need a copy of the resolution?
For the closed meeting,
No, for tomorrow, for your paper.
tomorrow, not immediate, no, but,
Okay.
yeah, that's some
Okay,
point.
good, good.
Yep.
Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to move from open session to closed session.
I move we leave closed session and go in, or leave open session and go into closed session for the purpose of dealing with matters relating to hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting employees pursuant to state statutes.
I'll second.
Okay, voice vote, you, Dave?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're now in closed session. Thank you very much. We appreciate y'all coming. Thank you.
We're getting out close.